Hey guys, what's up, and welcome back to another video. So before we get into the video, I just want to say that I made a March Madness group for anybody who wants to make a bracket and join my group. I'll leave a link in the description to that group. If you guys win and have perfect picks all throughout the entire tournament, you will win $1 billion from Warren Buffett. That's no joke, but I think the chances of winning are like 1 in 120 billion or something. So about the drop rate of certain pets on Old School. But if you guys want to check it out, that link will be in the description. So on to the actual topic of the video. This is sort of going to be one of those escape and listen videos where you guys can, listen to what I have to say about what I'm talking about in the video, and then you comment in the comment section your opinion on what I'm talking about, and you guys can discuss it with each other down in the comment section. So first of all, I hate only uploading one video a week. It's something I've very rarely done over the past like 4 or 5 years. Usually I always get 2 to 3 videos out in a week. So even though this isn't, the most content filled video, I just would prefer to get it out for you guys just so I can talk to you about the current state of the game and also get, at least a couple of videos out for you this week. So again, I was visiting family this past weekend, so sorry for not having a video out. But I want to talk about sort of the current state of Old School. It's a very, I guess, interesting topic at the moment, especially with the recent raise rewards that have just been announced, or they haven't been released in the game yet, but they're in the tournament worlds for testing. Last week I uploaded my Update Thursday video where I go over updates that happened that week in RuneScape, and it's usually just smaller things like quality of life, bug fixes, and some smaller releases into the game. And then, we have those big weeks where they release a lot of new content of the game, like the quests, new islands like Fossil Island. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. And last week was sort of a mixture of a big release and I guess sort of a small release. They sort of pre-released the new Raids 2 items into the game, into the tournament world, so people could go try and test them out. And for the first time ever, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they actually allowed you to travel throughout the world of RuneScape and test it out on different bosses as opposed to just staying in Clan Wars and sort of it being exclusively a PvP thing. Now, the ratings of my Update Thursday videos usually sort of have to do with how big of an update that week's update was. For example, let's say when Zaya was released, the ratings were sort of iffy because, people were excited for Zaya, so the ratings weren't too bad. But for example, when Zulrah was nerfed, when, Void Knight Armor, when all of that was nerfed, when more controversial stuff comes into the game, then the ratings are a bit iffy. So again, I don't really focus as much on the ratings of my update videos. I sort of more focus on the comments of the update videos, because if somebody doesn't like the update, then they're going to dislike the video. They might have not actually disliked the video itself. It's just one of the tough things with the rating system on YouTube, and I guess sort of one of the tougher things of being a YouTuber is sometimes the ratings aren't exactly, they don't really have to do with you making a bad video. They just sort of hate the content that you're talking about. So I don't know, you can look at it either way, but that's not really the focus of this video. So there was actually quite a bit of negativity on last week's video, mainly because of the new rewards that came into the game, and mainly because I just, in my first time of saying the word scythe, I accidentally pronounced it Sith. So yeah, that's my bad. But the main thing that people were talking about on last week's video was this one little word called power creep. If you guys are unaware of what power creep is, many people say that's sort of what killed 2012, 2013 RuneScape, I guess maybe even 2010, 2011. I sort of think that Evolution of Combat mainly killed RuneScape, but the old school servers are back because of the Evolution of Combat, so we have the EOC to thank for that. But power creep is pretty much when the game keeps introducing better and better armors, maybe more frequently than it actually should. So for example, let's say that one year they release a tier 75 armor, so level 75 defense armor that only people with 75 defense can wear, and then all of a sudden 3 months later they decide to release like a tier 77 or a tier 78 armor that only people with 78 defense can wear. I'm just throwing out examples right there. So, they keep introducing it, and all of a sudden, a couple of years later, they are already at tier 90 armor, and, if they can't really go any higher because they're going to run out of stuff to release. I think the Old School team has done a pretty good job of sort of maintaining the power creep on Old School, especially because the community is so, the voice is heard so significantly in this community because we vote for the update. So if we don't like something, it's not going to get into the game. It's not going to pass the polls that they put out. But, with these new raids armors that came out, we, of course, have the chance to vote on them again, but many of the people, I think, are sort of ignoring what the armors could bring to the game as opposed to just seeing, that the stats are better than previous armors and they don't want to see them come into the game at all. It's pretty hard to believe, but Old School has been out for over 5 years now, which I find absolutely crazy. I released my quest guides 5 years. I was going through some of my early quest guides and I saw that, some of the big ones, the early ones that I released were released around this time, 5 years ago, which is crazy. Senior in high school, and now I've graduated college and everything. I'm sure if you guys look back 5 years and think of where you were when it was released, you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe it's been 5 years. Old School back then was a different game. I think that at its core, Old School has always stayed the same no matter what, but Old School is a very different game than it was back then, especially with all the new quality of life, all the new content and everything. It's pretty, I wouldn't say it's a different game, but my God, it's definitely changed. And in my opinion, I think that it's changed for the better. I know that statement is a bit controversial because many people sort of enjoyed what the original servers brought. You know, the first few months of the old school server being out was exactly like it was in 2007. Maybe not exactly, but you know, all the updates were the same. The only things that they released into the game were bug fixes. There are very few new content coming. I think that the first new thing that they released on old school back in 2013 was Nightmare Zone. I think that was around August or maybe September that they released that. So 5-6 months into old school was the first big update. Now, some people enjoyed that time a lot more. They enjoyed the, you know, the more difficult time skilling. You know, it was a lot more click intensive. Actually, the quality of life updates that we have today, like shift clicking, weren't a thing, though auto hotkeys was, I think, sort of a big thing back then too, when people found out about it. But many people enjoyed that old school era, and many people sort of still would love to play back, you know, when old school was sort of like that. I think I'm just going to throw his name out here. Automelogy, I think, has an account where he only does updates, or he only trains with updates that were available in 2007. I think Slayer Music has a video series where he only does updates that were available in like 2003. So me personally, I couldn't do that. I think my interest in running an account like that would run out right away. So for me, you know, who's a bit more busy, is a bit older now, who enjoys, I guess, other games too. I like having updates that are, you know, make the game a bit more enjoyable, less click intensive, a bit more AFK, and that right there, again, some people don't like that sort of stuff, so it's a bit more controversial. But I think the majority of you guys could agree that you like the state of old school at the moment. Maybe some things you don't like, but when it comes to things like skilling and things like PVM, the updates that they have brought out, I think, are pretty good. I'd love to know what you guys think of the current state of old school, so look through the other comments in the comment section below, write your own comment. I'd love to read through all of them to see what your opinion of the game is at the moment. But going back to the whole power creep thing, the new rewards that are being introduced in the game are sort of being talked about as, you know, the power creep coming into the old school. They're slowly introducing these better and better armors into the game, and they're saying that the pace is way too fast. When the servers were released in 2013, I believe that the best things you could wear, I think, was pretty much Barrow's armor, and then you have rune boots, you had the, you know, Abyssal Whip as the best item that you could have for training and things like that. God Wars wasn't even a thing when the old school servers were released. You know, God Wars came, I believe, in 2014 in the fall, so there's a year and a half without any of the God Wars items in there. And now, of course, Bandos is still some of the best armor you can wear for training, for example, when doing Slayer or doing bossing. But slowly, of course, over the 5 years, we've seen a lot of new items come into the game. If you guys check out the OSRS wiki, you know, list of the new items that have come into old school since it's been released, it is a lot of items, thousands and thousands of items, and many of those being things you can actually wear or wield. And while a lot of those things are cosmetic and don't really mean anything, many of those things are things we saw in updates that have come out over the past 5 years. So we have Raid's armor, the Din's Bulwark, Dragon Claws, all the Ancestral, all of that stuff has come in. We've seen, you know, new armors come in from the different God Wars bosses. The new Slayer bosses that they released, many of them have really good items that you can wear, like the Kraken has the Trident and the Abyssal Tentacle, the Abyssal Sire has the Abyssal Bludgeon, we have the Occult Necklace from Smoke Devils, we have 3 Best in Slot boots from Cerberus. You guys get the point that I'm trying to make. And while I think that the addition of these new items has been healthy to the game, we can't forget that the armors that were back, you know, that we used back in 2013 when the servers were released are still viable to an extent. Barrows was a thing in 2013. Barrow's armor, I guess, to an extent, was the best armor you could wear on an account in 2013, and Barrow's armor is still very good, something you can wear for Slayer task, wear for bossing. It's stuff that you can still use in present-day RuneScape. Some items have, of course, fallen from grace. You know, rune boots, we're all going to miss them. We all miss wearing those on every single Slayer task, but, you know, some items, I guess, were sacrificed, but nothing crazy. The whip is still an amazing item. You know, if I look at what the whip has turned into on RS3, and I logged into RS3 once, I looked at the whip price on the Grand Exchange, it was like 50k or something. I don't think I've ever want to see that on old school. It's sort of weird to think about. And to be honest with you, I don't really have an opinion on the power creep matter because I don't think it's affecting old school that much at the moment. Again, I know that some people say it is, but I still think the game is in a currently healthy state. If it wasn't in a good state right now, the player base wouldn't be rising and rising. We have things like old school mobile coming out, which is hopefully going to bring the player base maybe to over 100,000 players concurrent at the same time, since who knows, you know, it's for the first time in old school's history, but who knows for the first time in, you know, both games history since forever. So that's very exciting. But when it comes to the actual, you know, items in the game, the power creep issue is something that isn't big at the moment in my opinion, but it's something that may get big in the upcoming few years. And this is where I'd love to know what you guys think. Please leave your comments in the comment section on what you think of the current state of old school. Do you think the game's in a healthy state? Do you think something needs desperately changed or before it's too late? Do you think that the introduction of new items is sort of bringing this power creep issue into old school? What do you guys think? Make sure to leave your comments below. There are many tier 70 armors in the game at the moment, tier 70 to 75 armors. I think that there are some tier 80 things in the game at the moment, but the day that old school hits, something like a tier 85, tier 90 is a bit rough, and they've already talked many times that they have no plans to introduce something that high level in the game at the moment, because that's being a really risky and taking a huge unnecessary step. Now, this issue relates all the way back to the weekly update issue. If you guys don't know about that, it's pretty much people saying that they think that weekly updates are way too much for old school. They think that old school should be updated every 2 weeks or updated monthly instead of every week, because they think it brings in new content into the game way too fast and it puts too much stress on the old school team. You have the areas and activities on old school that many people don't go to or don't use at all. For example, let's say the Dorgishan area, the cave goblin area below Lumbridge. Nobody ever goes there for anything except for maybe elite clues, and some people use the agility course. And again, people are saying that instead of releasing new areas and new content into the game, fix up the dead areas, re-release them with these new activities that they had in mind, and then people will go down there and actually use them. Old school has a very interesting player base, because I think that the majority of the players, they sort of just take everything with a grain of salt. When they release something, they're like, okay, it's in the game. They don't really care about it that much. And I feel like many people watching this video probably feel the same way. You have the players who don't really care what old school brings out. They just wanted to stay above ground. They want to stay alive. You have the players who care quite a bit, I guess, about the updates that come out and voice their opinion quite often. Then you have the people who, follow this game religiously, and every time a new update comes out, they critically analyze it, seeing how it affects the game. Those, I guess you could say, the high-level community, and when, something new is added and it greatly increases XP rates in a certain skill or whatever, they, see the outcry on the 2007 Scape subreddit or on Twitter and social media and stuff. So you guys can sort of place yourself in one of those three groups and talk about your opinion on the current state of old school in the comment section below. But I sort of just wanted to get this video out for you guys. I just sort of want to talk about it because I'm sort of curious. I want to sort of form my own opinion, so when I talk to people about, the current state of old school, I can sort of fully express it, because at the moment I'd sort of be confused on what I'd say. I'd be like, I'd like the current state of old school, but I don't really have an in-depth opinion I can give to you guys. So I sort of like to form my opinion around what you guys are saying about the game. I'd love to read through your comments that you post on this video. So again, don't forget to post your comment on the video below. Thank you guys all for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for the new update video. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Have a good one, and peace.
Wow.